Yes,
How long does it take to scrape top?
to do a tooth, well, it depends on the size. I think I spent about 20 hours on this one, about 4 days. There's a lot of prep work before you can even begin scrimming it. You have to polish the whole tooth, because they don't come polished. I wish they did. You're going to make a stand for it. So I have a workshop at home. I do all the woodwork, and I do all the polishing. And then I bring it down to my shop on Center Street, and that's where I do the actual engraving. And you're all invited to come in and watch me at any time, because I'm there every day. Yes, boys? Whoever wants to answer.
How much could you sell the woolly mammoth?
Well, I don't sell the raw woolly mammoth. I carve whales out of it. I sell them for about $300 each.
Where did you find a woolly mammoth tusk?
I dug that up in Alaska in 1993, 30 years ago. My brother lived up in Fairbanks, and he was a professor at the university. And whenever people found mammoth tusks in the permafrost, they called the university up to have them verified. And my brother called me up and said, Mike, I know where there's a tusk that's eroding out of a hillside up in Tok, Alaska, which is near a gold mining town in western Alaska. And I flew up there, and me and my brother thawed it out of the hillside. We had to get some barrels and make fires, and it took about a day and a half for the tusk to thaw out of the permafrost, and we pulled it out. And this is, I cut it into three pieces and shrunk wrapped it and shipped it back to Nantucket, and this is what I have. Yes, young man?
What's the biggest one you've made?
Well, the biggest things that I do are the whale's jawbones, which I have photos here. You can come up and look. Yeah, pass them out as far as they go. I have one in the window of my shop if you're ever walking up Center Street. It's probably as tall as you kids are. It's a piece of whale jawbone. It's as big as this table. And it's worth seeing. You can see it from the street. You don't even have to come in. You can see it from the road. It's at 38 Center Street. The cheapest thing in my shop, I think, are the polymer ornaments that I sell. The Christmas ornaments that I make, they're not ivory. They're made of polymer. And I know there's a lot of fake teeth out there. These are polymer teeth. They take an original and they make a mold of it, and then they make a cast of it. And these are reproductions. They look real. They're copies of real teeth that are probably sitting in museums. And you're welcome to come up and look at these. But they're different than the real teeth, and I think they sell for about $50 in the Whaling Museum shop. Something like this sells for about $2,000 in my shop. It's a lot of work, and the material, the tooth is probably worth $200 or $300 just in itself, a small tooth. And then I spent 20 or 30 hours scrimming it, and therefore it's what it is.
Got a question here.
Yes.
Is your family like a whaling family?
No.
Like, how did you get
I
so
came
fortunate?
here in 1968. I was 13 years old, and my parents rented a house up by the windmill. And back then you could go into the shops, the Seven Seas, which is not a shop anymore, but it's on Center Street. They used to have barrels of whale's teeth. You'd walk in, those big wooden whiskey barrels you see, the trash barrels in town. Those were full of whale's teeth. And Mrs. Howard was her name, Pam Howard. She used to let me and my brother tip them over, and we'd get to the bottom and get all the big ones out of the bottom. My brother Larry did scrimshaw in the Seven Seas for many years. He was their scrimshander. I was right down the street where I am today. That was 49 years ago.
But Ms. Rossi, working with teeth isn't
My father's a dentist,
Okay.
so I'm working sort of what my father did, except
Right. Different species.
different animals, yep. Yes,
The wealth, knowledge.
how much have I made? What, money-wise? How many have I made over the years?
Seventh
Well,
graders.
that's a good question. 49 years I've been in business. 49 years, since I was 19. And I never totaled up how many I've done. I probably do 40 or 50 a year, so you do the math. It's gotta be a couple thousand anyway.
Probably about 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done 30 jawbones. I don't know if you see the things that my wife passed around. Did you get one of those sheets? Did she pass all those?
Yeah,
out?
yeah, I think she passed them out, yeah.
Okay, some of them have writing on
You get a question over there in the blue shirt.
them. Yes, young man. I have one tooth in the shop that's $30,000. So you'll have to come see it. It's huge. It's a giant tooth. It's twice the size of this one. Yes. This one took me about 3 or 4 days. Well, I didn't do it. It's by a deceased artist, so that has something to do with it. He's dead.
Okay, seventh graders, remember tomorrow, the rest of the seventh grade is gonna be watching this.
Yeah.
Talking, they won't be able to hear on the video, all this important conversation that you guys are having about Scrimshaw and not other things.
Yes, young man, you have your hand up.
What is your second most price?
The second, well, I have other pieces that are $15,000 to $18,000 too. You'll have to come in. This is why I'm saying, you have the opportunity to walk into my shop at any time and watch me work. I'm in the back, you can see me do the work, and you can see how it's done. I wish I could show you here, but, yes. How do I get the tooth? Well, there is nowhere to get them nowadays. The fact that I've been in business for 49 years, I bought them all those years ago, and I stored them away, knowing there would be a time where I wouldn't be able to get it. Now I've got several hundred, so I don't have to buy it. I'm just using what I bought. When I was your age, you could buy these teeth for $1 out of the barrel.
Yeah.
They were cheap. No one knew, they were cheap ivory. It was considered junk ivory. And then when they became, when the ban went into effect in 1972, the price started to go up because the laws of supply and demand. There's no supply, therefore the price raises. And back when I started doing Scrimshaw, I was one of 30 professional scrimshanders here on Nantucket. There were scrimshanders everywhere. I was the young kid. I was 19. All the other scrimshanders were 10, 15 years older than me. Now they're all dead. I hate to say it. I'm the last one. I've outlived them all. I'm still doing it. And you as Nantucketers, it's part of your heritage and part of your history, your ancestors. This is what they did. And I encourage you to come into my shop and learn about this. Come in and you get to see a scrimshander actually doing scrimshaw. This is something, when you're my age, you'll be able to tell your kids. You got to meet someone who did this for a living. Because there will be no scrimshanders after me. That is made from whale bone like this. You gotta see it, it's beautiful. I didn't do that. Yeah, that was by Jim Plant, he's a friend of mine in Rehoboth. But he cut up the jaw into little strips and made that beautiful model. My favorite one is probably in the front window of my shop. It's a big job. You'll have to come by on Center Street and look in the front window and you'll see it. It's about 5 feet long. The big whaling scene. No, it's got the whaling scene. It's the men are going after the whale. It's quite a scene. Yes.
How long does it take to do the next job?
The jawbones, well, I'm just starting one now. It'll probably take me 2 or 3 months. And all winter I'll be working on it. I encourage you to all come in and watch me. You can come in and sit and see what I'm doing. I won't throw you out, I promise. Unless you make a mess, make a lot of noise, but. Any other questions?
How heavy is that job?
Well, you can come pick it up. It's not very heavy. The bone is very dense. Yeah, yeah.
Parker, give me an estimation, look.
That's the end. It's not very heavy. It would probably go out another. This is from an 8-foot jaw. So there was 6 feet that I cut off. This is just the end that I didn't use. Well, you can see how dense the bone is when you look here. The thing about bone is it's fed by blood, so it'll always be like air. But this would have been that much of a job. And then you get all this. This is where I scrim. Which, if you see that, that's a very big one, scrim. You'll have to come down to the shop. Okay, is there any other questions? About 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I had the 7th grade come in, and they all came in the shop, and I showed them all the whole thing. And I was just thinking, boy, you guys probably weren't even born then. That was at least 12 years ago. Probably you were little babies. So this is your chance for you to come in and see what Scrimshaw is all about. It's pretty cool. If you haven't been in the museum, I encourage you to do that as well.
They're going tomorrow.
This is part of Nantucket's heritage. You're one of the lucky few to be Nantucketers. All right, Dan.